Welcome everyone! Garry Kasparov once said, "The chess world is a better place when Aronian is playing well." Well, on that I think we can all agree, and so it was about time I shared one of Levon Aronian's many great games. He's a real artist at the chessboard, and in today's game he did create something beautiful, and he also played a very instructive sacrifice. Let's just get on with the game. This is from Norway Chess 2017. He played Magnus Carlsen. Levon had white and opened with d4, d5, and after c4, c6 was played, so he could get a Slav or Semi-Slav defense. After knight to f3, knight f6, and knight to c3, black played e6, so it's a Semi-Slav, although after e3 and a6, it's a kind of hybrid of the Semi-Slav and the Chebanenko. Maybe black wants to go d takes c4 and b5 soon, but Aronian doesn't release attention. He went b3, bishop b4, bishop d2, unpinning the knight, knight bd7, bishop d3, just normal development, and after both players castled and queen e7 to go e5 at some point, Aronian played a new move at the time, bishop to c2. So that anticipates black playing e6, e5. If black does play that move now, then e4 doesn't threaten to fork bishop and knight anymore. But watch what happens next. After rook to d8, now Aronian offers a very interesting positional sacrifice. He starts with a3. Of course, that pawn is only defended once, so Carlsen took that. And here, Levon also sacrificed the exchange. And the point is that after queen takes, c5 completely cuts off the queen from the rest of the board, but the queen is actually in danger too. If white can play knight to b1, then the queen could easily be trapped. It's very important that black opens up the position so that the queen can escape the queenside. Let me quickly show the danger if black is careless. If black would play, let's say, rook to e8, then knight to b1. After queen to a1, bishop to c3 attacks the queen, so queen to a2, only move. But then knight from b to d2, that guards the b pawn, and you'll see why that matters, because if black now goes for that b6 idea from the game, then queen to c1, and you can see that now bishop to b1 would win the queen since b3 is protected. Black cannot avoid losing the queen now, so for example b takes c5 and bishop to b1 wins the queen and the game. So that's the danger black has to deal with, and therefore going back to the game, b6 was played to open up a path for the queen. Then b4, simply covering the c-pawn. Black cannot take because knight takes d5 is a discovered attack. And after queen to c4, white has a number of forcing moves that win more material. First, knight e7 check, king to f8 attacks the knight, but then bishop to b3 attacks the queen, and when the queen goes to b5, then the bishop pushes the queen away again, and knight takes c6 wins another pawn, also attacking the rook, and the queen still isn't safe. So Carlsen didn't take, he went knight to e4, he has to get the queen out, and he's offering white a pawn to help do that. White did take. But after rook to b8, we see the second reason why this game is so good. Here Levon went for a classic bishop sacrifice on h7. Now it's not the classic Greek gift sacrifice that leads to checkmate because white doesn't have a pawn on e5, but Levon did spot a very nice tactical sequence. After king takes, knight check, king to g8 and queen to h5, black has to bring the knight to f6. If black doesn't do that, but let's say goes knight to f8, then after queen takes f7 check, king to h8, there is queen to e7, also threatening with knight f7 check. Black will lose a lot of material and that will be decisive. So knight to f6 was played, but the sequence continued with queen takes f7 check, king to h8, and now queen to c7. That's what Aronian spotted when he went for this whole line. Both rooks are now attacked, and knight f7 check attacking the rook on d8 is also coming. Bishop to d7 is therefore the only reasonable move, but white starts winning his material back with knight f7 check, king to h7 and knight takes rook. But that's not the end of it, because black isn't losing a full rook. First, rook to c8, and when the queen takes on b6, then the knight can chase away the queen, and black does win the knight for the rook. Now, if we take stock, material is about equal. Both sides have a queen, rook and bishop, but at the moment white has 4 pawns for the knight. However, the forcing sequence is still not over. Levon keeps the initiative after e4, kicking the knight, and again Carlsen doesn't find the best move. He had to try knight to f6, now queen to d3 would win material, so bishop to g5 pinning the knight. Black cannot avoid losing material after e5, but after all this, at least black also did grab a couple of pawns and the game isn't over. After the game continuation queen to d3, white can first take the knight, and that means that after queen takes bishop, white again has that queen c7 move, attacking the rook. Queen g5 is the only move, and here Aronian would have a great position after simply d6, getting this amazing passed pawn. Going e5 in order to go bishop to h3 also doesn't help, because queen takes c6, defends g2, and white is clearly winning. Unfortunately, Aronian missed that and opted for d takes c6, which admittedly also looks really attractive, but after bishop to c8, even though black's pieces are still really tied up, it's not as clear. It continued h3, black doesn't threaten anything, so why not create some luft? Then queen to d5, but after rook to d1, Carlsen just completely missed what white is planning. He could have played rook to f8, and if then rook to d3 go queen to a2, and black's counterplay is enough to draw the game. Instead he thought e5 was a good move, but watch what happens now. Rook to d3, that rook is simply going to the king side. You can see g7 in particular lacks proper defense. E takes d4 was played, but again another great move by Aronian, queen to e7. Now queen h4 check could be coming, but also getting a pawn on the 7th rank after c7. Black doesn't have any saving moves anymore. Carlsen's last try was pretty bad, however. He went bishop to f5, thinking that after rook to g3 he could simply shield the g-pawn with the bishop, but of course queen h4 check simply wins that piece. Black doesn't have bishop to h5 because of rook to g5. Black also cannot go queen to h5 because you lose the rook. And of course, if king to g8, then rook takes simply drops a piece, and therefore after queen h4 check, Carlsen had seen enough and resigned. Well, I think you'll agree that was a very original and daring game by Aronian. It all started with that a3 move, giving up a pawn. Carlsen then took that, not realizing or underestimating what Levon would do, and even after c5 he went on to make things even more interesting with this classic bishop sacrifice, and Aronian proved he'd simply seen further and frankly played a much better game. So hopefully you've enjoyed this game too. Let me know in the comments what you think of this game. If you enjoyed, please simply like the video, I'd really appreciate it. I'll be seeing you guys again soon, and take care.